Henderson.
Oh, my good man.
How are you, bud?
Terrific.
Good to see you, man.
How good to you?
Welcome. Thank you. Thanks for taking the time.
My pleasure.
40 years ago tonight, where were you? What were you doing?
Thinking about the next game, and if we didn't win it, we'd be known as losers for the rest of our lives.
So you scored 3 game-winning goals, right?
Lucky.
Yeah, but you got them. I mean, the last one, the big goal was kind of a garbagey goal, but the night before was a great goal, right?
Oh, man,
Do we have that night before goal? Watch this. Look at this beautiful goal from the night before.
Yeah, I wish we'd have been watching this for the last 40 years.
Henderson.
Look at this.
Down. To the defense.
That's a goal. That's an amazing goal. Right. Finesse.
Would have been nice to hear that instead of Henderson makes a wild stab for it and falls.
Now, I'll tell you why I think that the wild stab for it fall dirty goal is a better goal, because it's more in line with the Canadian personality. Had you scored that flashy goal, it would have been this great moment of Henderson kind of in this one-way play. You come through, you split the D, you come around, you score. The way that goal went in, the big goal that you scored, all the players had a hand in the play.
That's true.
You took a stab, you fell. It's this idea of you persevere, you junk it up and close your eyes and oh my God. That's the Canadian win. So in a way, I think your goal was far more Canadian.
You know, nobody said that before, but that's a pretty good insight.
Dude,
You're a lot sharper than I thought you were.
That was my moment. That's my moment. From here on in,
when Cherry retires, I'm going to put your name forward. You're going to be the man.
Thank you, but no thank you. You know, in your book, you talked about how much you love playing in Detroit, right? A lot of people know you as a Leaf, but you played as a wing, and you talked about being a kid, being in Detroit, just being awestruck by the city. What was it like being a kid in Moscow?
Well, you know, initially, like I really felt that we would beat them fairly handily. I mean, I really felt that we would overwhelm them with the players we had. But then when it changed when they got ahead of us. Okay, now you suckers. And so it took on, for me, it took on a totally different dimension. That we really felt it was our way of life, our ideology against theirs, and so we hated the Russians with a passion. We shouldn't have hated the players, we should have hated their system, and thank goodness we've got to know them. And Tretiak, some of these guys are really wonderful individuals. You know, they're trying to keep a wife happy, raise a family, and so I'm glad I lived long enough to get to know these guys, because in '72 we hated them with a passion.
The great memory, of course, belongs to the collective. You have your own memory of it, we have our memory of it. And then I saw this news clip of these little girls talking about it.
What was all the talk about today?
Well, how my dad played so good and how we got the last goal.
Who scored that last goal, Jennifer?
Paul Henderson.
Who's he?
My dad.
Did you think it was a pretty good game?
Yes.
What about you, Jill? Did you like the game?
Yeah.
Who scored the goal?
My dad.
I love that.
Is that awesome?
Oh, man, I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Isn't that beautiful, though?
Now, those 3 have given me 7 grandchildren today, so.
Unbelievable.
You know, none of them were perfect. I got 7 grandchildren, every one was perfect. Yeah. How does that work out?
Well, you did all right. The universe bestowed some gifts on you.
Oh, man, that's the most fortunate guy alive.
You know, you said you missed the last trip to Russia, but it's because of your health. How is your health?
Well, I have cancer, like most people know, and I get into a clinical trial in the United States, and was doing pretty well, and then I got a reaction to the drug, and man, I was rash from my tip of my toes to my head, and I was pretty ugly for about 9 days, but we got off it, and we got it stabilized again, and so I just take it one day at a time. And hopefully, I mean, no, at this point, there's no cure, but the whole idea is to stay alive long enough till they find a cure.
Right. And, well, how's that going?
Well, I'm still alive.
You're still alive.
Yeah, I got today.
You know, what's interesting is, you know, you hear the hockey player cliche of, you know, one game at a time, but at a certain point in your life, you realize how zen that really is.
Well, there's no question. You know, and like I said, I'm 69 now, and I can't think of anybody that's been more fortunate than me. Even with cancer, I wouldn't change places with anybody in the world.
I mean, part of your comfort has to be because you have strong faith.
Well, no question about it. I mean, that's where it comes from.
My mom is like, you know, I like being alive, but when I die, I'm going to see Jesus. And she's really into that, and it brings her peace.
Well, see, what I say, when you have hope and you have peace, you can handle anything. And the hope is, which I really believe, this is not the game. This is only the warm-up for the game. Like, I love eternity. I like the thought of that, where never a tear will be shed. Because down here, no one gets a wrinkle-free life, but God said he's got something better prepared for us. And then, you know, there's an inner peace.
Are all your kids Christians?
They are, very devout.
Really?
Kids all have gone to Christian schools. Jilly's go to the 3 young ones out there. And, man, I love it when they, you know, we always say blessing and that kind of stuff. And, man, I just love to hear my grandchildren pray. And, of course, they pray for me every day. And
sure.
I got a 9-year-old granddaughter, and she prays for me every day that I stay alive till the 2020, because she's going to be a gymnast in the 2020 Olympics. Says, Papa, I got to have you there.
Well, then you got a reason to be there then. Stick around, more with Paul Henderson after this. All right, coming up, we're going to pull out an old school TV commercial with Paul.
Helmets, the most controversial piece of your equipment.
And this guy here likes to take aim at his fellow comics, so panel, you better bring it.
So what are we talking about?
We are talking about celebrity icons.
Right, we're going to talk about celebrity heroes. We're going to talk about when celebrity heroes fail, and then we're going to talk about celebrity redemption, and then later we're going to come up with something for these other 2 fingers.
Okay, great.
3 Things with Andy Kindler next.
Paul Henderson talks about
Helmets, the most controversial piece of your equipment. And after going through a lot, CCM is my choice. They take severe impact, they won't crack or shatter, they're cool to wear, and they're contoured to fit you. Don't take a chance with your helmet. See the complete line of CCM helmets soon.
Head safety. I was thinking, you know, we as an audience, as a crowd, as fans, expect a lot from our hockey players. We expect them to play tough. We say that all the time. Tom Cherry goes on every Saturday. We applaud a guy who skates off with a broken leg, when in real life, that's the dumbest thing you can do. But we go, hey, you're a good Canadian kid. We do all that stuff. In that tournament, with the intensity being what it was, the Cold War as a backdrop, were guys playing hurt in a different way? Were you playing hurt in a different way?
Well, I got a concussion the first game in Moscow. Went into the boards backwards. And if I hadn't had a helmet on, I'd probably would have been dead. I even had a concussion. And Jim Murray, the doctor, said, told Sinden, he's got a concussion, he can't play. And Harry come in and said, you know, the doc says, I said, Harry, don't do this to me. But back then we didn't. I mean, that's why I'm such an idiot today. But I mean, I had 6 concussions. But I mean, you'd never do it. They would have never let me back out on the ice.
But did you get hit again out there? Because it was a physical series.
Well, you know, I tried to take care of myself. But no, I never didn't get another one. But yeah, if I hadn't had the helmet on, I would have been really. I was knocked out even with the helmet on.
How do you feel that Maple Leaf Gardens is a grocery store?
Well, it's better than it's there. The guys, they say they did a terrific job. Unfortunately, I haven't seen the ice surface yet, but they say it's phenomenal in there. And I'm looking forward to going. And so it's there. I mean, it's a wonderful memories. One of my greatest memories of that is the Peter Mahovlich goal in the 2nd game of the series, and shorthanded goal. I think it was the best goal ever scored on Maple Leaf Gardens ice. So a lot of great memories on Maple Leaf Gardens. If I could just forget Harold Ballard, I'd be laughing.
What did you think of Sydney's goal?
Oh, man, I went crazy.
Yeah.
I led the singing. My wife and I were speaking at a marriage conference in Victoria, and we had to start the session for the overtime. And so I told people, if the U.S. scores, don't say a word. But if Canada scores, you just yell it out. Well, about 10 minutes into the talk, Canada scored.
You weren't even in front of the TV?
No, we had to do a talk. I missed it. But you know what I did, George? I spontaneously led singing of O Canada, and you don't want to ever hear me lead any kind of singing. It was unbelievable. It was so spontaneous that, man, we just went crazy. And unfortunately, we had about 6 couples, American couples, in the and that somebody told me, so I had to apologize to them. But they were they got up and got into the mode too. So
we don't apologize. This is our game. The goal of my life, and as you can see, he's got a lot going on in it. Paul Henderson, everybody. We'll be right back. Thank you, brother. Good evening.